When Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker are sent to the Galactic Games, they are meant to be keepers of the peace. Then they discover an illegal event that Anakin knows all too well: pod racing. Even though Obi-Wan forbids it, Anakin cannot resist the thrill of the race, and the chance to face off against his childhood rival, the loathsome Sebulba. As a Jedi, Anakin is supposed to let go of his past, but his past will not let go of him.
Welcome to Padawan Library, the Star Wars junior novel podcast. I'm a man who woke up this morning in pain, Levi Paratic. And with me, my co-host, a man who probably also woke up with some pains, Tim May.
I mean, sure, but I am delighted right now because I just came out of the theater, essentially, for Mr. Rian Johnson's Knives Out. An incredible film. Listen. I love movies. You love movies.
Yes, movies.
Right? Everybody loves... Not everybody loves movies, but, we love cinema, right?
Yes.
That's what we care about.
Cinema.
Yes, listen. That's what we care about. And I have to say, this year has been such a good year for me personally. We've had our disagreements. We don't need to get into it. But I have to say, I 5 to 6 or 7 movies that I think are like great movies this year, and several of them like pretty significant like studio movies. We're talking about like big budget studio pictures here with some of these movies. Not all of them, but like, what a wonderful time. Listen, I have to say, movies are really fucking good right now. Movies are good. I like movies. And Knives Out is another reason why. Knives Out is just a delight. I don't want to say anything, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a great murder mystery. And my guy, Rian Johnson, once again proving to all you hating ass haters that you are wrong. You're wrong. He's just an incredible filmmaker. He's fucking 5 for 5 now. The dude's never made a bad movie. he rules.
I agree. Okay. I'm sure we'll agree on this movie too, because I haven't seen it yet. So
that's the thing.
Tomorrow.
That's the thing. I was thinking I might rate the film on Letterboxd live on air.
Okay.
But here's the problem. I feel like if I give it the rating I think it deserves, that you are going to hold it to some absurd standard like,
no,
it's not a 5! It's not a 5!
No.
Okay. Well,
no.
Listen, I'm going to Letterboxd right now as we speak.
And you're giving it a 5.
I'm giving it a 5. It's the easiest 5 in the world. It is. I had such a good time with this movie. It's just a delight. There's not much else to say, honestly, but like...
And I cannot add anything.
Because, like, if I say anything about, like, the plot or whatever, like... Listen, Daniel Craig, holy shit. This guy...
He always rules. He always blows me away.
Always rules. He's kind of underrated, like, as far as, like... As far as, like, his non-Bond stuff goes, he just doesn't get a lot of attention for it. But he's always good. Always good!
Remind me to come back to Craig, because I want to talk about this one thing, and I can use Craig to segue into another thing we're going to talk about.
One last thing. I didn't mention it on the show, because, again, this is a Star Wars podcast, not a movie podcast, but I also saw Bong Joon-ho's Parasite last week, and if anything could be better than Knives Out, it's Parasite! An incredible film! We are in a great period right now for movies! And you should go to the theater to see these movies. Like, Knives Out is a wide release. Nobody listening to this doesn't have access to that movie. Go see it. Go see it. Don't go, listen, I'm going to see Frozen 2 in due time, but don't go see Frozen 2. Go see Knives Out. It'll be there till January. Knives Out, go see it. I also, it's just good. It's just everything I like about movies. I love movies.
I love being in movies. I love watching movies.
I am Keanu, and I love movies.
Gosh, I love movies.
It's just okay.
Well, I saw a movie too, Tim. I also went to the movies. A movie you haven't seen yet. You say you're going to see it.
Yes.
It's a good movie. I'm not going to give it 5 stars. Spoiler alert.
I saw you gave it 3.5.
Yes,
I already know, which means you hate it. We all know.
No, I don't hate it.
Basically, unless it's 5 stars, it's terrible in your eyes.
I have 2 things to say about it. Tom Hanks is great.
Yep. What a shock.
But Matthew Reyes? Is that how you say it?
Reese,
Matthew Reese?
come on.
Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Philip Jennings from The Americans. He's doing what he does best, and it's so delightful to see him on the big screen.
Oh, I love him. Do you see The Post, the Spielberg movie?
No. I did see that.
Yeah, he was Daniel Ellsberg in that. He was great in that.
Okay, I need.
But
to
you saw it
The
before
Post.
You watched.
Yeah,
The
I had
Americans,
no
right?
clue. So, we have to rewatch The Post.
Yeah, it's great.
It's amazing.
It's good.
Anyway, so he's really good in it. See it. There's things I like about it. There's maybe a couple things I don't like about it, but it's not Tom Hanks or him. So.
Oh well, I like that director. I've enjoyed her 2 previous movies. So.
Yeah, and I guess they're not even nitpicky things, but. I have not bought my tickets for Rise of Skywalker yet because I can't decide on the theater I'm going to. I have an AMC theater 26 miles away from me, but it smells like mildew and cat pee, and it's kind of moist in there. It's a weird place. It's a mall movie theater.
I see.
And then the other movie theater is in Galveston, Texas, which is also 26 miles from me. It's a small chain theater. I don't know if they maybe have 1 or 2. It has that kind of nice, humble chain theater. It looks nice. It smells clean. But the sound bleed between the movie theaters is terrible.
Well,
so
here's an idea.
When I was seeing Mr. Rogers, Ford and versus Ferrari was going on next door.
That movie I've heard is super loud, though. It might be a unique situation.
Yeah, it was
Star Wars is going to be louder
loud.
than the movie on either side, probably.
Yeah, but we were sandwiched in between 2 theaters. So what were you going to say?
Here's a suggestion. Do they have late shows, like midnight shows? Or do they just have the regular,
I don't know. I haven't
6,
looked
7? Because if they have a midnight show, it'll be the only thing playing,
screen.
So you won't have to worry about sound bleed.
Yeah, that would be good. That's a good idea. I haven't looked at the theater time.
And you guys are late boys and girls sometimes, so you're not like me. You're not going to be like, there's a 0% chance I'll stay awake through this.
No.
Where I had to drink several caffeinated beverages in order to stay up for a 4:30 p.m. screening of Knives Out. So you know
what you want to hear. Listeners, you want to hear a fun story about Tim?
Great.
Being sleepy. When the Blu-ray came out, the Blu-ray saga set, the original Star Wars saga, not the Skywalker saga.
2011, right?
Yes.
So the one with Anakin and the
yes, the very cool one.
Yeah.
we decided we were going to watch all the prequels in one night and then the original trilogy. And I remember we got to episode 2. We were about a third of the way through episode 2. It was just me and you watching them, and you were standing in my apartment pacing back and forth as the movie was on just so you could stay awake. I'll never forget it. A fond memory I have of you,
it's
Timothy.
A classic moment in all of our lives.
Yes. And you know what was in episode 2? A super battle droid. You know where else a super battle droid was in?
You want to transition.
Oh, no, not that.
Not super battle droid. I'm wrong. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's a droidica.
Yeah, I'm wrong. I know what a super battle droid is. Jesus Christ. Are you watching Clone Wars? Is that what you're saying?
No, the 3rd episode of The Mandalorian, The Sin.
Oh yeah, duh. Gosh.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want to get into like recapping Mandalorian every week, but another incredible episode.
He's Batman Boba Fett. Yeah. He's the coolest thing. Like,
yeah, he rules, and everything about it is cool. I have to say, this is incredibly dorky what I'm about to say. You know how they say this is the way, or whatever?
Yes, this is the way.
Listen. There is a very obscure demo by the lead singer of the band Weezer, Rivers Cuomo, from one of his demo collections from when I was in high school. Called "This Is the Way." That's one of the most embarrassing songs he's ever written, and like the chorus goes like, "This is the way, baby, this is the way," and so when they were saying that back and forth with the slight pause in the middle of it, I could not think of anything else. It was just like, I had not listened to that song in probably 10 years, like close to 10 years, and it just came right back. It's wild. Mandalorian's great. Deborah Chow directed that. She's doing the Obi-Wan.
There's one of the things that I feel like she did so well in that was convey emotion in the Mandalorian character with the fact that he has his face is his mask.
No face.
And the one of the best things was whenever Herzog was giving him the Basguard, and he's holding it in his hand, and then all of a sudden he sees Baby Yoda being carted off to the back, and the look he gives while he's holding the money in his hand, just perfection.
Incredible stuff. But Carl Weathers, we don't need to get into every detail because we are going to do a full season review show of this show.
2 speculations I want to bring up though. Okay, so we've seen his parents getting attacked in the first episode. In this episode, we learned that it's by the Trade Federation, because there's another Trade Federation ship that goes by, meaning it's the Clone Wars. He, at the end of this flashback, gets cornered by the super battle droid. How does he get out? And that's what we'll learn in a future episode, I'm sure.
Maybe the episode that you've watched before you listen to this podcast today on Black Friday. Perhaps. Right. Yeah, perhaps you'll find out then, is my point. Anyway, a couple other things, and then we should get into the book, because, hey, we're recording this the night before Thanksgiving, we want to chill this weekend. So let's one more thing, completely un-Star Wars related, you really need to watch Watchmen. It's so good.
Oh, I've heard nothing but
it is so good.
Stellar.
The most recent episode, which is the 6th episode, for those of you that are watching it, holy shit! I don't know. This show is so good. If listeners, if you care about Watchmen at all, and you're like me and you don't have the moral fortitude to resist this show, then don't get around to it. It's great. If a Watchmen show if Watchmen extension has to happen, this is like about as perfect a scenario as I could imagine. So it's great. Damon Lindelof, Jesus Christ, what a king, what a king. Give him a Star Wars show. Don't actually, but. It might be a little complicated for Star Wars, but I think he'd do a good job, but I just don't want him to waste any of his career doing that's why I was nervous about Watchmen in some ways, is because I didn't want him to just waste his time on this, but it seems like it's only going to be one season. So
Right.
Anyway,
one final holiday theme speculation.
Yeah.
I'm laying in bed last night. Mel is tossing and turning, and like I was sleeping at one point, and then I woke up, realized she was awake, and I'm trying to fall back asleep, and she goes, "What if Life Day happens in the next episode of The Mandalorian?"
It could.
Really loud. It could, and the reason why she believes that is because the holiday special aired the day after Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is the day after Thanksgiving.
And Favreau has been
Tim's
dropping.
eyes got real wide.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't.
The first release was November 17th, 1978.
Oh, okay, maybe not, but yeah, but I believe it. Favreau does love the holiday special, so.
And they mentioned Life Day already, so it's vaguely plausible. We'll see.
Now, but things we're thankful for, Jude Watson.
Yeah, you have such a nicer copy of this book than me. Check out this ratty old library copy.
Oh, wow.
Look, wait. Oh, see, it's got, the spine is totally cracked.
That makes me happy, though, because this book got read. That's what that tells me.
That means that so many third graders took this out of the library and actually read it. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk Jedi Quest number 3, The Dangerous Games by the Queen, Jude Watson. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Tim here. Just wanted to wish all of our U.S. listeners a happy Thanksgiving. Levi reminded me that we didn't say anything about it, and it's only one day afterwards, and everybody's at home. Hope you're having a good time, enjoying some good food and good times. Anyway, I said it. Now here's Levi saying it.
Happy Thanksgiving from Padawan Library.
Cool. Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May, here as always with Levi Paratek.
This is the way.
Yeah. My brother told me that some kid at one of his students picked that as his senior quote, like, today. It's like a little soon, maybe, but hey, it's a moment in time. That's what senior quotes are all about.
Baby Yoda is a moment in time.
Oh, that's a true moment. Anyway, so this week we are talking Jedi Quest. We're back to Jedi Quest, back to Jude. Another little run here of Jude.
Mm-hmm.
And this is The Dangerous Games, number 3 in the main series. And there is quite a bit to get into here. I wrote a summary of this book. Mm-hmm. That wound up being about as long as my notes typically used to be on our chapter-by-chapter things. So I'm going to try to compress as I go.
Right.
But we'll just talk.
Yeah,
I will guide the conversation with my summary. And then we're just reading the last 10 pages of this book.
Yeah, I agree.
It's too good.
It's too good. It's too good.
Sometimes that's a laziness tactic. You especially love to employ that. But but I promise you, these last, literally 10 pages of the book are...
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
They are choice, my dude.
The last 50 pages of this book are... It's just... Oof.
Yeah, we can't read 50, but we can read 10. All right, let's see. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, right?
Yep.
They're sent to the planet Euceron.
They were chosen by fate, destined for conflict.
That's what it says on the back of the book. But this is what it says inside the book. So they're there to provide. They're there on Euceron to provide security for the Galactic Games, which is a large-scale Olympic-style sporting event with many different events held every 7 years, galaxy-wide, of course. Euceron is an oppressive government, but the Senate has agreed to help them with security because the symbolic weight of the Galactic Games is too great to risk any significant safety concerns. So this is kind of like when Russia hosts the Olympics or something like that. So it's like people all, hold their nose, but they're like, we don't want anything bad to happen, so Really, though, it's like, IOC, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you letting them do it? But whatever. Anyway, other Jedi teams are there also, including Siri and Ferris. If you remember Ferris from a couple books back, him and Anakin have a rivalry. And Rygal and True. And True, remember, is Anakin's one true. He's his one true
friend.
So, they get there and they meet with Oliviana Sarno, who is the commissioner of the games, and along with her we meet once again Dee and Astri Odo.
And you had said a couple weeks whenever we found out that Dexter's Diner, Dee sold his diner, you were just like, well, I guess we're never going to see those characters again.
I'm so happy to see them again.
Mm-hmm.
So happy. What a delight. Some of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars these days. Now, like, period. I love them. So, so we get to see them again, and Astri greets Obi-Wan very affectionately.
She's a married woman at this point.
She is. That's the big reveal. She introduces Obi-Wan to her husband, Bog Davinian, who is on the Games Council. So he's part of making decisions for the Galactic Games. And when a rumor of an illegal pod race is floated in this conversation, there's an illegal pod race happening around the games. Remember, pod racing's legal in the Outer Rim, but it is illegal in the core world. So it's floated, and Anakin gets super distracted. He's like, "Whoa, pod racing!" The fire comes back to his eyes. His heart starts racing. Like, "Oh man, I gotta get back in there."
I'm jonesing for the speed, man.
He's like Rocky in Rocky Balboa. You know, he's like, "I gotta get back into it. You know, I gotta prove myself one more time." All that stuff. So, you know, and so, and he goes on there, and the race is shot like a NASCAR channel or whatever. Anyway, no shots at Rocky Balboa. You know I love you. Anyway, so so anyway, Obi-Wan and the other masters are going to allow their Padawans to go and enjoy the games for a few hours while they strategize about how to handle security. And Anakin kind of slips away, loses True and Ferris, and makes his way to the illegal pod racing site. And he sidles up to this brotherly pilot mechanic team, Dobie and Delan Tyrell. That's right. They're the sons of the god Rats Tyrell. That's right. Remember he died in the Boonty Eve Classic? Yup. You do remember that, because guess what? Pod racers are the fucking truth. They're the bounty hunters of the prequel trilogy, and they never got their own fucking anthology, and it's bullshit.
This is the closest we get to that. Like, this is the closest we get to any sort of...
It's like some of the only other pod racing content that exists.
I know. Now,
we're going to talk a lot about this, but
we are. Now, I have to ask you, did you have to Google Rats Tyrell? Which one he was?
Yes, of course. Listen, I'm not a freak. I would know more about... I can recognize all of them, and I can name you a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the pod racers. We'll talk a lot about this. There's so much pod racing to talk about. But anyway, he died in the Boonty Eve Classic, and after his death, Dobie and Delan's sister, Drula, was sold into slavery under Anakin's old pod racing rival, Sebulba!
Poodoo!
Oh, yeah, such poodoo. So Sebulba, though, has agreed to pull a Watto and free Drula if Dobie and Deland can defeat his son Hikula in the race that's happening here on Euceron. And the pod racer Hikula is piloting, that's Sebulba's son, is piloting Anakin's old pod. What the fuck? Oh man, that must sting for Anakin. That sucks.
Does sting.
So Anakin sees this and yeah, he wants to help them free your sister, but that's the thing that really gets him. He's like, I am agreeing to help you, Dobie and Deland, win. No compensation required. I just want to win. That's his big thing. I need to win. So Dee Dee Dee, yes, we're back to Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
Dee Dee asks Obi-Wan, he's like, hey, could you accompany me on a deal, like, to this situation? I made a bad deal, and I want you to be there to, like, as kind of an intimidation factor. You're a Jedi. And then when they go to this shop, it doesn't seem like it's just a bad deal. It seems like this guy is a bookie, and Obi-Wan's like, I don't fuck with this. Like, so, he's a shady bookie, and Dee Dee admits right away that he used some of Astri and her husband Bog's savings to place a bet on one of the events at the games. After much admonishment, Obi-Wan tells Dee Dee, you're on your own, you can figure out how you need to get that money back, because the guy doesn't, the bookie's not giving the money back. So, when he returns, he realizes, oh shit, I fucking went too far down. Anyway, when Obi-Wan returns, he realizes that Anakin is gone, and he must be at the pod racing site. Obi-Wan knows. He knows his apprentice. What can he say? I lost my place. I apologize. Yes. So he goes down there, he finds Anakin, and Anakin reluctantly admits that what he's doing. He's like, I'm trying to help these guys free their sister, all that stuff. And Obi-Wan, he kind of, scolds him. He's like, listen, this is not your mission here. You need to stay focused on the mission at hand. This might be a good thing, but it's not, whatever. But secretly, he admires Anakin for helping these two kids. But they need to get back to the mission at hand because Bog contacts Obi-Wan to call, and he contacts Obi-Wan and all the other Jedi to come back and meet with him. And when they get and the brothers, they lend a speeder to our heroes, and when they get back there, they find out that Bog called them back because his speeder was stolen. He wants the Jedi to investigate his stolen speeder. Which, all the Jedi, Siri especially, are just like, this fucking guy, what is he doing? I'm swearing too much. Sorry to, what's her name? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, actually. That sounded flippant. I'm not trying to be flippant.
Patrice.
Yes, Patrice. I am sorry. I'm very excited. I have so much adrenaline from the great film that I just watched.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway, so what was I talking about?
The
Bog's
stolen speeder.
Stolen speeder. Siri's like, this guy. What is this guy doing? This is not Jedi business. Call the security forces. What are you doing? But Obi-Wan's like, I know who stole the speeder. He knows right away, and he points right at Dee Dee, and Dee Dee admits immediately to having stolen the speeder to sell so he could repay Bog and Astri. With the money he got, Obi-Wan's like, well, at least you can repay them, but you'll have to deal with the speeder however you have to deal with it. And he's like, but no, I want to place another bet with this money. Degenerate gambler Dee Dee, listen.
He is such a degenerate gambler.
I watched, Disney Plus update. I watched The Cat from Outer Space.
Oh, how was that?
A delight. It is filled with degenerate gamblers played by former MASH colonels. It's a delight. If you want to see a shot of Colonel Blake and Colonel Potter in the same frame, what a delight. Listen, I'm an old man who happens to be 28 years old. And I love MASH, and I love 1970s kitsch. That is what I love. MASH is not 1970s kitsch, but this movie is. Anyway, there's a bunch of degenerate gamblers. There's a character named Honest Harry that is just a delight. Listen, I say delight a lot, but it's true. I've been delighted by things, and I hope that you are too. Maybe this podcast is one of them. I don't know. Anyway, so
we hope so.
Dee Dee is a lot like McLean Stevenson in The Cat from Outer Space, is what I'm saying. The real heads know what I'm talking about. So, moving on. Dee Dee's trying to place this other bet with the money he got from the speeder, He's very sure about this one because he heard from his old friend and Obi-Wan's old friend, Fly, Fligh. You might remember him from Jedi Apprentice too. That some of the events
The
at
Deadly
the games,
Hunter was the episode he was in.
Deadly Hunter. You're right. Some of the events at the games are fixed according to Fly. So Obi-Wan wants to investigate this. Anakin doesn't really understand why. He's like, why do you care about this? And Obi-Wan's like, listen, if these games are rigged, yeah, it's not really important as far as Jedi go, but like, how are people going to react? People invest a lot of time and energy and passion into this. There could be an explosive situation if it's revealed that these events are rigged. So, and money, by the way, they also do all the bets, which are of course illegal, but they happen. So, Obi-Wan and Anakin, they drag Dee Dee to go see Fly, who eventually admits that he heard about the fixed event, which is apparently a swoop obstacle race which is set to take place very shortly, and he heard about it from another info dealer named Quentor. And so they get to the stadium super quickly, but on the way to the stadium, their cab driver tries to kill them, like it crashes the thing. They escape that, but and the race is already wrapping up, and the expected winner from Alderaan is receiving their trophy. Obi-Wan suspects that the race may have been fixed by a timekeeper, so he goes to try to find the timekeeper. They run into Maxo Vista, who is a hotshot legend in this event. He won, like, big the last
7
games.
years ago, yep.
7 years ago. It set a record. Like, he's a big fucking deal.
Obi-Wan's never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
And
Anakin loves him, wants to meet him, and Obi-Wan's trying to get information on Quentor, that the person that Fly says he got the info from. So he calls up Jocasta Nu, right? And he says, "Hey, Jocasta, could you get me some info on this Quentor guy?" And she overhears Anakin talking about, can I please meet Maxo Vista? And Jocasta Nu is just like,
fawns.
Jocasta Nu is into her. She wants to have relations with
hold
him.
Hands.
So,
they want to hold hands.
So Maxo Vista is like a huge celebrity, super famous. He's like Usain Bolt or whoever.
Michael Phelps. Sure.
Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, that kind of like crazy, like won a shitload of golden medals, and like
Tony Hawk. He didn't win any gold medals though, probably.
No, I don't think they introduced skateboarding too late for him.
Okay,
probably.
All right.
But I mean, he's.
I'm trying to name
so.
Summer Sanders. That's an Olympian athlete.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out, baby. So anyway, they run into him. They ask him about where the timekeeper is, and Maxo Vista points them in the direction of his room, and they head to the room, and they see the timekeeper, a man named Arno Daring, but he runs from them, and they give chase, but then the timekeeper is run over and killed by an air taxi, and the pilot of that air taxi runs, and it's the same pilot that attacked them earlier. I mentioned that offhand. And Obi-Wan loses the pilot in the crowd. Darn. So, they return to Daring's room, and they find evidence that he was using a false identity. They find in his files a list of fixed events, including 2 more official events, as well as the pod race? What? So, Obi-Wan sends Anakin back to the pod race to investigate, and Obi-Wan is going to stay and investigate the bookie from earlier. So, Anakin, he returns to the pod racing site, and he talks to Dobie and Deland again, and they mention that the pod race provides... that pod racing's changed in the years since Anakin was the only human to ever win a pod race since the Boogieve Classic.
The boy who brought hope to thousands.
Oh, my king. So they mention that the pod race now pod races they provide the track info where they're going to have to go to the racers as they race. So there's not a full, they don't have the full layout. And this innovation in pod racing was apparently dreamed up by one Sebulba. Okay. So Anakin is immediately suspicious, okay, that might be how this game is going to be rigged, is that, the person they want to win will be fed that information earlier, so they can plan. And he
immediately assumes it's Hekula. Because he's the 12 to 1 odds or something that Hekula will win, and rumor has it Sebulba placed his life savings, his entire fortune on his son.
So Anakin, though, he at this point finally makes eye contact with Sebulba, and
this scene is so good.
Sebulba recognizes him. And they get into a fight, immediately. He's just oh, your mom's not here to, save you now. He says a bunch of fucked up shit.
Yeah, he really does.
And he is a slave owner now, too,
apparently. He talks some real smack.
So, he's a bad guy. So they get into this fight, and Djula, you might remember, the sister of Dobie and Delan, shows up to give her master, who is Sebulba, some tea, and he slaps it away, and Delan steps in between Anakin and Sebulba trying to break up the fight, and his arm gets broken. So he can't race. And what's going to happen now then? Of course, Anakin steps up, offers to go in his stead. What a great guy! Or is it just he wants the thrill of that pod, baby?
I must win! And, in this scene, too, Anakin, Sebulba, goes to throw a punch at Anakin, and Anakin dives, and Anakin kicks Sebulba. And I just have this image of Hayden Christensen kicking Sebulba.
What a delight.
Such a delight.
So, let's see, So, Obi-Wan, back to Obi-Wan, he heads to Uso Ito's shop, who is the bookie, and he overhears somebody talking, there's this new person in the pod race, it's Anakin Skywalker, and Obi-Wan's what did Anakin get himself into? But he needs to focus on what he's there for. And so he snoops around a little bit, and he finds that the bets on Uso's computer, on the bookie's computer, match the numbers of the seating arrangements on Bog's datapad, which he had retrieved from Didi, by the way, earlier. The datapad was in the speeder. So
Didi tried to sell the datapad too, in order to buy back the speeder, and he didn't have enough money.
Bog, by the way, remember, he's on the Games Council, and he brags a lot about it, but his job is to find seats for VIPs.
Yeah,
so it's not
senators.
Not a huge job. Mostly senators. But anyway, so Obi-Wan had looked through it and seen the seating arrangements, and the numbers on the seating arrangements, though, they match the numbers that of the bets that Obi-Wan sees in the computer. So Obi-Wan thinks, he thinks Bog isn't seating these senators, he's placing bets for these senators. These senators are corrupt. Here we go. So,
and Bail Organa is one of the senators mentioned.
Is he?
Yeah, he is. Let me see if I can find it. What chapter is that?
Oh, I don't have it separated.
Oh, you don't have it? Okay, let's see here. Okay, chapter 14. According to my notes. And even, Obi-Wan is just or Senator Organa, it's right on page 102.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Among the names was Bail Organa, the senator from Alderaan. Obi-Wan had always respected for his integrity. Why would someone like Organa risk his career in order to make a few credits on a bet? I forgot about that. I didn't make note of it.
Jude. She knows what's up with Senator Organa.
Of course, a great man. So anyway, Obi-Wan confronts Bog, and he denies any involvement. And Obi-Wan mostly believes him. Bog's with Astri, by the way, at this moment, his wife. So it seems that even the senators may not have known, in Obi-Wan's opinion. So he thinks Bog's clearly been duped, and he and Astri seem to have a true great love for each other. And he thinks the ruling power, which I didn't mention is the name of the government on this, the oppressive government on this planet, the ruling power, he believes, might be trying to blackmail these senators by screwing, because they're mad at them about not accepting them more of their policies. So anyway, sorry if we're not getting into enough detail on this book. So anyway, I actually want to read.
We should have just summarized this one like we normally would, because this book, it's.
Oh, we
have to talk about it.
We're touching on everything. Let's see.
Well, you are. I don't think I am. Cause
yeah, you need
the entire summary.
Feel free to chime in, my dude.
Okay, well, you read the next bit, and then I'll
we
try
have
to
a
pick
bit
up
of
a little bit.
I want to read a little bit from the book here on page 109.
Okay. Who can I be?
Let's see. Where are we at? I'm trying to remember why I made note of this. It's called like signal. All right. Yeah. So I'll start here. You be Anakin.
Okay.
I'm going to start You'll start with Master things have developed here, but let me read a little bit before that.
Okay.
All right. The problem of Anakin entering the pod race had never left Obi-Wan's mind. Why had his Padawan done such a thing without telling him? It was not the first time Anakin's impulsiveness had worried and alarmed Obi-Wan. His comlink signaled. Anakin was calling. Obi-Wan answered.
Master, things have developed here, Anakin said. Sebulba has recognized me. Because of that, Deland stepped in to avoid the fight and was injured. He cannot race. I offered to race in his place. Dobie and Deland are trying to free their sister.
And is that your mission on Urikron? To free Dejula? Obi-Wan asked sternly.
No, Anakin said. But it was Qui-Gon's mission to free me? Must we follow a mission so exactly that we turn our backs on beings who need our help? Every mission has a detour. You told me that.
I've also told you that it is the mark of a Jedi to recognize whether or not to follow the detour, Obi-Wan reminded him.
Then I ask you to let me make this choice, Anakin replied.
His Padawan's voice was firm. There was no pleading, no uncertainty. He wanted what he wanted. Was that the right thing in this circumstance? Obi-Wan pondered the problem. Have you learned anything else? He asked.
The pod race is scheduled to take place this afternoon at 3. A viewing area has been set up for spectators in the underground caves. Sebulba placed enormous bets on his son to win. The official timekeeper is supposed to send the pod race route directly to onboard computers, but I don't know who will take the place of the job now that Deland is dead. I think the best way I can find out how the race is fixed and who is behind it is to enter it myself.
All right, Obi-Wan said reluctantly. He did not like the sound of pleasure in Anakin's voice. So pleasurable. He would ask Siri and Rygal to send Ferris and True to observe while Anakin piloted the pod racer. He could not be there with his Padawan, but he did not want Anakin to be alone. So, very good. So,
Here, I'll pick up from here unless you guys.
Yeah,
have
why not?
important. Okay.
Yeah, why not? Go ahead.
So they send the Padawans off, and the Jedi team of Siri and Rygal with Obi-Wan, they go find Fly. And he's in some dumpy motel, thanks to Dee Dee, they found the place. And he is in cahoots with that timekeeper character. However, both of them got in way over their heads, and they discovered that the rigging of the games goes far deeper than expected. The ruling party wants the games to go horribly wrong and for people to get killed so that the senators can somehow be blamed. He doesn't know how or what game. that they're going to be, it's going to happen. And then some destroyer droids, some droidicas show up, about a dozen of them, and they crash the party. The Jedi fight them off, and and so they know there's only 3 games left at the Galactic Games: the bow casting event, the pod race, the unofficial one, and the obstacle course. And Obi-Wan has some suspicions about Maxo Vista, so he decides he's going to cover the obstacle course. And Rygal goes to the pod race, and Suri goes to the bowcasting event. So at the obstacle course, here's where things get interesting.
This is wild.
So Maxo Vista is on this big floating podium, and he delivers this speech about how they're about to begin the games. Once he gets off there, Obi-Wan wants to go question him, so he is on his way over there. And as he's on his way over there, he runs into Ashtray, and Ashtray tells him something about how, like, Bog found deeper corruption, and he was going to go tell Maxo Vista about it. I can't remember what happened to him, but Ashtray was telling Obi-Wan. As this is happening, Maxo Vista comes up to them and pulls out a gun, and he has Ashtray at gunpoint. He leads her and Obi-Wan up to the floating platform. They go to the center of the obstacle course, and he makes an announcement. The obstacle course, will be fought between Jedi versus athlete, me being the athlete. So Obi-Wan has to compete in the obstacle course. There's basically what happens is each of them has to pick up a weapon, and these holographic creatures appear, different levels, this kind of thing. And like you have to like hit them at a certain point, and you get a point. If they hit you, they lose points. Obi-Wan smokes Maxo Vista.
Crushes him.
He's losing points left and right. Obi-Wan nails everything perfectly. Just a Jedi. He's like, oh, this reminds me of being a kid, all these different little training things that we did at the academy. Oh, Maxo Vista, your chump change. And like the crowd was like cheering for Maxo Vista, but now they're starting to cheer like, Jedi, Jedi. And the last obstacle is a bunch of battle droids, and these are of course holographic battle droids.
Yes.
So he can't like deflect their blaster fire. But Obi-Wan knows that one of these holographic battle droids is not a holographic battle droid, it is a battle droid. And at the end of the event, Obi-Wan pulls out his lightsaber, slices the droid, and like Maxo Vista is done, and the crowd is booing him. They don't want to see him win. He sucks. And
they're turned on him like LeBron in 2010. and they love Obi-Wan like LeBron in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there you go. There's a real sports thing.
So anyway, I can't remember. We could go into the pod race from here, but this scene is so delightful because it's like we knew that the pod race was coming. We knew this entire book that we were going to get a pod race in this book. That's the main event, but we never saw this opening act like coming. Like this whole scene was a complete delightful surprise.
Oh, incredible action stuff. So yeah, like the pod race, Obi-Wan still needs to warn Anakin about this issue that he's discovered. Did you talk about that?
No, I didn't. We learned that the pod race, the lead pod race, is supposed to lose control of their Navicomputer and all of their controls, and are supposed to fly into the grandstands, killing people at the end. Because
they want to create. Because whoever's behind this wants to create some sort of
So now there's a bomb plot. Like now it's a race against time.
It's absolutely wild. So Obi-Wan gets out of there, and the pod, but isn't able to contact Anakin before the pod race starts. But Anakin kind of speeds off to a quick lead in this race, and Obi-Wan is able to contact him, and it's like kind of a choppy message, but he warns him about this issue. And Obi-Wan and Suri, they confront Maxo Vista and find out where the finish line is going to be. They need to find the finish line of the race. So Suri takes Maxo to the ruling power, detains him, and Obi-Wan heads over to the finish line. And so, by the way, at some point, Obi-Wan had contacted Jocasta Nu again and tried to get her to find information about what connects this list of senators that are affected.
She's very disappointed by Maxo Vista being a bad dude.
Of course, hey, listen, it is what it is, Jocasta. There'll be new crush objects for you.
Right, like when Michael Phelps got busted for pot or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he just,
the same level of offense. Anyway, didn't he have like a DUI?
I don't know. Who knows?
I feel like that's a slightly worse thing.
That's the only reason I know who he is the bomb.
Sorry you don't watch the Olympics, you freak. Like the most decorated Olympian ever, isn't he? Something.
Yeah, he is.
He has more gold medals than anyone. Anyway, so regardless, what was it? Yeah. So Jocasta Nu was investigating what the connection between these senators was, and she's discovered that their connection is not in anything nefarious. It's that they all oppose the consolidation of banking power in the core worlds, which is supported by both Maxo Vista and the commissioner of the games, Liviana Sarno. And so the senators are being targeted because they're trying to block this measure from passing. And Obi-Wan, he gets to the finish line where all he can do is wait. He can't warn Anakin. And so he and Rygal and the Padawans and the brothers are all bummed. It seems like the brothers are bummed anyway. So Obi-Wan spots a robed figure in the crowd and follows her. And it's Liviana Sarno. But he can't stop her. She sets the booby trap, sets it in time, and so all he can do is detain her. And so anyway, Anakin must count on the living force. So I'm going to start reading here.
Okay.
This is on page 160. This is the kind of climax of the race, and Anakin has kept basically in the lead or second the whole time, basically neck and neck with Hikula.
Yes.
So basically, here we go. If
you want me to chime in anytime, say what's something they would do in elementary? They'd say popcorn.
Sure, we'll popcorn it.
Okay.
We're starting on page 160, and we're just going to the end of the book, baby. So, I'm sorry. The rest of this is too good. So, I'm going to start here. On page 160. Hikula shot him an incredulous glance. It was as though Anakin was inside his mind. Hikula could take the opportunity to make one quick swipe, forcing him against the cave wall, and Anakin would be a fireball in seconds. But if Hikula did that, Nalunf, who was close behind them, would swing out to the right and no doubt win the race. Revenge or victory? Anakin had bet on the answer. Hikula did not turn his pod racer to sideswipe Anakin. Instead, he began the turn. Victory was too close for him to take the chance. Anakin's pod racer was so snug against Hikula's that it was forced to turn left as well. Sparks flew as his pod racer scrapped along the wall. The shell of the pod racer began to smoke. Anakin tasted smoke and fire in his mouth. He did not let up on his speed. If he did, he would be dead. The spectators gasped as the two pod racers rounded the left curve, seemingly one connected beast. The flat straightaway was ahead. The finish line crowded with the pod racer teams and spectators who had risked the anger of pod racer security and jumped out of the stands. And there was his master, looking straight at him. The pod racer was barreling toward him at 600 kilometers an hour, and he had no brakes. Anakin pushed the speed, passing Hikula. Then he cut the power and slammed all his weight to one side. His pod racer began to spin. He crossed the finish line, spinning so wildly that neither Hikula nor Nalunf could pass him. The pod racer came to a slow stop At first, Anakin could not hear the cheers over the ringing in his ears. He had won, and no one was dead. Popcorn.
Suddenly, he felt very tired. He saw the faces as a blur. Liviani Sarno, looking strangely pale. His master looking grave but relieved. And Sebulba, snarling at him, waving his arms and crying, "Foul!" Hot anger spilled through Anakin. He threw off his goggles and vaulted out of the pod racer. "You!" he thundered at Hakula and Sebulba. "You're the cheats!" Because of them, countless innocent beings might have been killed. Anakin had no doubt that Sebulba had been the one behind the sabotage of Delan's pod racer. They could not completely rely on getting the track information first. They had to destroy their closest rival. It was just like Sebulba to go that one cruel step forward. The red mist. This is not the first time we've heard of the red mist in Anakin's eyes. The red mist had come to recognize the red mist he had come to recognize as rage filled his vision, driving out the memory of clarity of the Force. He could see nothing but his rage against Sebulba, at anyone who would risk so many lives just to win. "Slave boy, you have to cheat to win. There's no mother watching you this time to disapprove." The taunting words filled his head, and the red mist grew dense and hot. He reached for his lightsaber, but a strong hand closed over his. "No, Padawan." Obi-Wan's voice reached him as if from a long distance. "He did it!" Anakin struggled to keep his rage away. "I hate you!" He pictured the red mist leaving him, floating over a distant hill. "He deserves to be punished!" "No, Anakin, Obi-Wan's voice was stronger still. He drew Anakin away. "Listen to me, Padawan. Sebulba did not cheat. It was Doby and Deland." Anakin blinked. He could not absorb the words. "It was?" They made a deal with Maxo Vista. They would have advanced knowledge of the pod racetrack. What they did not know was that Vista was going to sabotage the pod racer. He wanted a fireball and a tremendous accident to occur. "That means I was getting advanced track information, not Hakula," Anakin said slowly. "It was just the Force."
Wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't the Force. Anyway, that explained Hakula's sometimes puzzling failure to get ahead. He looked around. "Where are they?" "They have disappeared with Julia," Obi-Wan said. "I am sure that they did it to save their sister. She has been freed and they are gone, but they most likely hid a transport nearby." Sebulba was still watching him. Hakula slumped in his pod racer, too stunned to emerge. "You'll pay for this, slave boy," Sebulba snarled. Anakin took a step towards him, but his master stopped him. "He is my enemy," Anakin said.
"He is my enemy."
"He is my enemy." "You are a Jedi," Obi-Wan told him. His voice was low and pitched for Anakin. "You are a Jedi," he repeated. Popcorn.
The mist in Anakin's head cleared. He took a breath and looked around. Ferris Olin was watching him, as he always was, his dark eyes gleaming with secret knowledge, as if he had glimpsed the red mist that was Anakin's rage. True nodded at him, his expression showing only loyalty and affection. Rygal appeared to be guarding Liviana Sarno. Nothing was as he thought it would be. He felt his legs trembling. He had almost lost control in front of his fellow Padawans and 2 Jedi Masters. He had come so close. Obi-Wan's voice was gentle. "Come, Padawan. There is a mission to complete." So, we're going to read also the last chapter. Listen, there's just a lot of good stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the red mist thing.
I do too.
This has been a recurring thing. I think this series is doing an incredible job with Anakin.
It really is. And bridging to what Revenge of the Sith is, and like the red mist and his like red eyes, like it's Jude.
Yeah, she's good at what she does. So the final chapter here, I might try to condense it. We'll see. The hearing was presided over by Ruler 3, Ruler 6, and Ruler 7. These are, people from the planet. So the entire Games Council was allowed to attend. Obi-Wan was not allowed to hear the testimony before his. It was how hearings were conducted on Euceron. He watched Maxo Vista emerge, then Liviana Sarno, then Bog. At last he was called. Obi-Wan laid out the details of what he had discovered. He accused Liviana Sarno and Maxo Vista of conspiring to disgrace the senators in order for the Commerce Guild to pass legislation that would earn them fortunes beyond measure. He accused Maxo Vista specifically of the murder of Arno Daring. Have you evidence of this? Ruler 3 asked. The files on Liviana Sarno's and Maxo Vista's datapads were timed to erase themselves, Obi-Wan admitted, and no one saw Maxo Vista run away from Daring but me. Did you see his face? No, Obi-Wan said. He wore a concealing helmet, yet I knew it was him. So we have only your word that the hero of Euceron and the illustrious head of the games are guilty, Ruler 3 said. My word is all you need, Obi-Wan answered. Perhaps on Coruscant, Ruler 3 said coolly, but not on Euceron. You claimed that the pod racer was programmed to crash into a crowd, but it did not crash. Only thanks to the skill of my Padawan. You claim Arno Daring fixed 3 events, yet Arno Daring is dead. Maxo Vista and Liviana Sarno have denied all charges. The Games Council has backed them up. Didi Odo can confirm the events were fixed. He has left the planet. That was not a surprise. Bog Davinian saw the files on Vista's datapad, Obi-Wan said. He has denied seeing them, Ruler 7 said. Obi-Wan remembered Bog's sad notes on how to succeed. Never contradict a superior. Follow the power. He had been foolish to imagine that Bog would not give in to pressure from Maxo and Liviani. He gazed at the faces of the council. None of them met his eyes. No one wanted the scandal to see the light. Not the ruling power, not the Games Council, and no doubt Bog Davinian had just ensured that he would be elected senator on his home world. The Commerce Guild would see to that. This is what the galaxy is becoming, Obi-Wan thought with a sudden, sharp sadness. Those with power hide the truth, and the weak go along in hopes that they will become the strong. I can see there is no more I can do here, Obi-Wan said. He strode off the platform and left the room. Anakin was waiting. When he told him what had occurred, his Padawan was furious. How can they do this? Maxo Vista and Liviana Sarno are guilty, and they are going to walk free. This is an injustice. Anakin's words echoed off the hard plastoid walls of the Grand Court. It is a hard thing to see happen, Obi-Wan agreed. But sometimes, even when the mission is successful, justice is not done. It happens. At least the Commerce Guild did not get what they wanted. No spectators were killed, and their legislation may be defeated by those who they wish to disgrace. And Arno Daring? Maxo Vista will get away with murder. That is the hardest of all, Obi-Wan said. Popcorn.
They walked down the hall toward an exit. As they pushed through the heavy metal doors, they saw Astri waiting, leaning against the rail. She came towards them slowly. I'm sorry, Obi-Wan, Astri said. I offered to testify, but I didn't see the datapad myself, so the ruling party wouldn't allow me. It was my word against Boggs. Didi wanted to help, but Boggs said he would press charges for the theft of the speeder. So Didi thought it was best to leave the planet. You know, he has no moral courage, Astri shook his head. I have married a similar man. Bog isn't bad. He was pressured by Liviani, and he worships Maxo Vista. He swears to me that when he becomes a senator, he will do good. Obi-Wan nodded sadly. I'm sure he believes that, Astri. But he's already in debt before he starts. He has done a favor for the Comrades Guild, and he has lied in a hearing, so they have something on him. That will corrupt him. I'm frightened for my future, Astri said, her dark eyes bleak. But I have no choice but to go on. Obi-Wan touched her cheek. Your loyalty is what drives you, Astri. I would not like to see you lose that. So are we still friends? We will always be friends. Astri nodded and slowly walked down the steps. Soon she was lost in the swirl of the crowd. Obi-Wan felt a sudden pang. Would he ever see her again? Nothing has turned out as I thought, Anakin said. I was here to work on my Jedi lesson of connection to the living Force. If that's true, I failed. I judged everything wrong. I did not see that Dobby and Deland were using me. I trusted my instincts, and they betrayed me. Popcorn.
Do not judge yourself so harshly, Padawan, Obi-Wan said. Your mistake was one of the heart. You allowed your emotion to cloud your instincts. You allowed what your heart wanted to be true to make it true. Connections to other beings, good and bad, must be pure and free of one's own desires. You wanted Sebulba to be the culprit, so you made him one. I thought my connection to the living Force was clear, and it's not at all, Anakin said moodily. I have such a long way to go. If it makes you feel better, I made the same mistake with Maxo Vista, Obi-Wan said. Jedi lessons are learned by masters as well as Padawans. Wisdom comes with time and missions, Anakin said, repeating Obi-Wan's own words. Obi-Wan smiled gently. And mistakes, he said. The end. So, this book, I wanted, one of the reasons I wanted to read that last part is, first of all, I love that this book ends on such a downer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody gets punished, basically, for what they did wrong. I love the recurring theme throughout so far with Jedi Quest is, like, Obi-Wan and some of the other Jedi are like, something's going wrong with the galaxy. It's not that there weren't always problems, but it's like there's some swirl of bullshit happening right now, and they can't put their finger on it. Obviously, we know what the source is. Sheev himself, of course. But yeah, I'm really I thought this series started off a little slow, but man, it's kicking into high gear right now.
It's pod racer fast right now. Like, we barely even have, like, the reflexes fast enough to, like, see where it's even going. It's so cool.
You're such a goon. Yeah. Anyway, so am I. So, the thing I thought this was very compelling for both Anakin and Obi-Wan, which I think is maybe the first book where I felt their stories were pretty close. The one thing I'll say about the Obi-Wan stuff, I think the Dee and Astri stuff is very compelling in the moments it gets, but I wish there was a little more of them. That's my only real beef with this book. Just because, and I think we're going to see them again, because I feel like you wouldn't put the line, like, will I ever see her again?
Right. At
the very end of the book, if...
she leaves the door open for it.
Yeah, well, she should leave the door open for Obi-Wan, if you know what I mean. Get rid of this bog, dude. Don't get bogged down.
Oh, she is so bogged down by this guy.
Yeah, I want better for Astri, not Obi-Wan necessarily, but you know what I mean. Just... Bog, like, such a disappointment.
And Dee Dee is like, what's he doing with his retirement? He's just become a degenerate glam gambler.
Yeah, Dee Dee, like, he was always a little... But Dee Dee needs to relax. You know, he should have invested that money he got from Dexter better. Or just, you know, bought a nice little cottage and chilled out. But yeah, I love this though. This book ties like very thoroughly into just the all of Jude's work so far, and this is the argument for doing something like this. they really should do something where they really give a writer full control to do a long run of books, because this is what you get. You get real rich stuff. Like that last conversation between Obi-Wan and Astri was had real emotional heft, and that's because we've followed them for many books. So great book, one of the better books Jude's ever written. I think it's one of my favorite books we've read on this podcast. I'm going straight up conceived, baby.
I cannot disagree with you there. This book fulfills a wish that we wanted a Tales from the Podracer book. We'll never get that, but this is the closest thing we'll get. This has to be the only piece of expanded universe that, other than video games, that cover the Podrace. This is the only book form of Podrace.
There might be. I'm sure there's probably something that people could point out to us, but I honestly am shocked there are not more pod racing things. I'm shocked there was never a pod racing episode of Clone Wars. I'm shocked that there could have been a pod racing episode of Rebels.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even just the biggest stuff. There's been plenty of opportunity, and it's not just because there are losers that don't like the pod race, because people don't like Jar Jar and he's all through Clone Wars. So, you know what I mean? People don't like battle droids, and there's plenty of battle droid stuff.
Right.
I just
and for those characters too, the pod racers, to not show up anywhere else.
I'm not even asking for the characters, just the concept is barely used. I am asking for the characters, but even beyond that, the concept of pod racing is occasionally referred to, but it's tossed off. I think there's a lot of potential there. I've always said I would love a real down and dirty underdog sports movie. I'm not if you're gonna make. They're scaling back on how many Star Wars movies they make. So this is maybe something you can do on Plus. It'll fit in right next to all the dog sled movies that Disney's produced over the decades. You can put a pod racing movie right next to it.
They have made so many dog sled movies.
So many. There's one coming out with Willem next month on Disney Plus. Willem Dafoe,
Wow.
So, yeah, it's wild. So many.
Snow Dogs.
That seems like the worst. White Fang with Ethan Hawke.
Oh, right. What's the one with Cuba? Is that Snow Dogs?
That's Snow Dogs.
Well, then what's the one with the white guy they made after that?
Oh, with Paul Walker?
Yes.
R.I.P.
Yes.
Don't disrespect.
I didn't realize that was him. I just remember
that's eight Below, and that's more of a drama. Snow Dogs is like a comedy.
Right. I remember Snow Dogs being very silly.
Did you see the Call of the Wild trailer?
I did see the Call of the Wild trailer.
Listen, that CG is so terrible, but I just love hearing Ernest Harrison. Love it. Anyway, what are your final thoughts?
You've covered just needed more DD. Even the book points out there's I guess almost a moment of self-awareness to the book where Obi-Wan thinks about how going with Dee Dee about this whole speeder thing might have been just an inconvenience, but it unraveled this whole plot, this whole corruption plot, which is very silly.
And it's because he's following the instincts of his old master, Qui-Gon, who trusted Dee Dee even though he doesn't seem like a trustworthy person. Mm-hmm. So Dee Dee's an irresponsible person, but he's an honest person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what else more to say. All I can say is, usually I take notes in between chapters. I read a chapter, I just take some light notes so I know what happened in the chapter. But from the obstacle course on, I just read straight through and just had a big smile on my face. And then then as soon as I was done, I messaged you and just said, this book, ... Wow.
So wild. Listen, like I told you this morning when I finished the book, this book is a hot eat in Dairy Queen parlance and a cool treat.
Cool treat, hot eats.
Both
conceived in
things.
midichlorians. This book is ridiculous.
Oh boy, we just made so many deep Dairy Queen references. Listen, I am a fan of this book. It's a fan book, fan food.
It's not fan fiction. It's a fan book.
Oh, God. I apologize to all our listeners for that deep inside bullshit from the two of us. We're obsessed with Dairy Queen taglines. We don't need to go into it further. So anyway, this is great. This one's in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Great book. I'm very excited. Next week is book 4, what's that one called?
I don't have it out.
Let me grab it. I got it. It's somewhere in here.
Nice Rogue One shirt.
Yeah. Is that 4? Yeah. The Master of Disguise. Turtle.
Oh. See that movie.
I've never seen it. I've only seen commercials for it endlessly.
You need to see that movie.
Oh boy. Well, we'll talk about it on our Austin Powers podcast later. The rivalry between Dana and Mike and all that stuff. Classic stuff.
What cover is this? Because I don't have mine out.
It's got a big face in the background, it's got Anakin and some other kid squaring off.
Hold it up to the camera.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, do you think that's Furris?
I assume. Yes, I assume it's Furris.
Ferris.
Anyway, so. Good Lord. So yeah, that's our book next week. We got this and the 5th book, and then we got Sparkle of Resistance, and then Rise of Skywalker, and we're taking taking a little break after that. But so again, I just keep bringing it up. Anyway, you can email us at padawanlibrary@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Padawan Library, mostly Instagram. Be nice.
We've had no issues since.
Listen, it's been great. Our listeners are great. So send us emails if you want. Maybe we can get a couple emails in before our hiatus. And so
rate and review until the books are due back. 5 stars only.
It's true. The library is closed.
Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by The Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Padawan Library is copyright 2019 by Tim May and Levi Peretic. All rights reserved.